What is going on, everybody? This is Jackson from Dinger Dudes, and today I am joined by former MLB infielder Greg Garcia. Mr. Garcia, how's your day going? And thank you so much for taking time to join.
Hey Jackson, yeah, all good over here. I'm out in San Diego, so life is good. It's about 75 degrees outside and enjoying it, but all good here, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Just it's much better than St. Louis. I'm pretty sure it's snowing. It's snowing out there somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah,
But
no doubt.
yeah, I'm down in Georgia right now, so I'm glad it's starting to get some heat back, and I'm tired
There
of
you
the
go.
cold, rainy days. But
Yep.
to get to my first question, I did want to ask, speaking of sunny places, after
hmm
graduating from Valhalla High School, you enrolled at the University of Hawaii at Manoa and happened to play baseball with future Cardinals teammate Colton Wong, who I'm also very familiar with. In your
Yep.
first two seasons, you were named second team All-Western Athletic Conference, and in your junior season, you were awarded first team Western Athletic Conference and had your best statistical season. Did this performance, I guess related to this question, did this performance make you declare for the 2010 draft after skipping out your senior season, or what was the decision there?
Yeah, so went to University of Hawaii out of high school. For me, I was kind of undersized out of high school. Like I think I graduated high school at probably 5'8", 5'9", and like 135, 140 pounds. So no real opportunity to get drafted out of high school. Just body was not physically ready,
Hmm.
and didn't really have a ton of college scholarships, Division I offers to go off of. Really, probably only about three or four schools that were even remotely interested in me. And the reason I chose Hawaii was because I felt like they believed in me the most. And for me, always kind of being the undersized guy, I gravitated towards that because I always had more people kind of doubting me and my abilities than I had that were like really believing in me. So I got that sense from Hawaii and went there. And the purpose of going there was, yes, to continue my education, but also ultimately, hopefully, get drafted. And the freshman year had a good year, sophomore year had an okay year, and then I remember the start of my junior year thinking, okay, this is the time to try to get drafted, and I put in all the hard work. I felt like my body was ready to go, my mind was strong, and put together a nice season and able to get fortunately drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in
Mhm.
2010. And I soon realized how lucky I was to get drafted by that organization. Didn't know it at the time, but looking back on it in hindsight, such a blessing to get drafted by such a great organization that does things the right way.
And I'm 100% glad you were drafted to the St. Louis Cardinals. You were very difficult in those 2014, 2015, 2016 seasons. And I just reminisce on those days when I do these interviews because the other guys like to give me some crap on it, but it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
okay.
for sure. For
We'll get
sure.
with their fair share. And I guess a follow-up question to that, Hawaii, I know they're like a very prominently known baseball, like a baseball school. Is Hawaii like very like popularized with baseball?
So yeah, the cool thing that I found when I got recruited to Hawaii, I was kind of right there with you. I'm like, do they have a baseball program? Hawaii, I always thought vacation. Didn't even know there was a college out there. And the year before I went there, they had a really nice season. I think they had like 40 wins and went to a regional. So I was like, okay, this team is somebody that, it's a Division I program. And but I don't think they were ever like known for baseball. The thing that I did love about Hawaii, similar to St. Louis, is the fan base at Hawaii, there's no professional team, right? There's no
Hmm.
professional basketball, football, anything. So the people on Oahu really gravitate towards the college. And if you have a good program, and we did for the most of the part for the 3 years that I was there, and they're doing really well now. The stadium was called Les Murakami Stadium, and we would get 4,500 people a night, which is pretty unique in the college setting, to come to our games and kind of cheer us on. So I think Hawaii baseball is becoming more prominent and maybe more of a destination for people because they're having successful seasons. Obviously, you talked about Colton Wong, getting a guy like that to come through that program. I think we have probably about four or five ex major league players that have gone through that program. So I know there's probably more to come that I might be missing, but yeah, I think it's becoming more and more prevalent in the baseball space.
Trust me, I know Hawaii is a destination spot. And now knowing that Hawaii baseball seems to be very prominent now, as a big baseball guy, I'm looking to go to different stadiums, and Hawaii seems
Yeah,
like a great place to go.
yeah.
Play, uh, I guess travel to. I'm gonna try and get the
That,
other guys to go with me. We'll see what
there you
happens.
go. There you
We'll
go.
see
There you
what
go.
happens. But
Yeah.
you did talk about being drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals. And for my next question, I was going to ask you, what was it like being a part of the St. Louis Cardinals organization? And I guess, how did that shape your career throughout the rest of your MLB?
Yeah, like I said, super fortunate to be drafted by such a great franchise and organization, and really felt it from right in the beginning, that first, spring training, just how they went about their business. The veterans in the clubhouse when my first big league camp was Yadier Molina, Adam Wainwright, Daniel Descalso, John Jay, Matt Holliday, Matt Carpenter. These guys, they took care of all the younger guys, and they really created a strong culture in that clubhouse. And it was something that I found to be pretty unique. And being a Cardinal player, that will forever stay with you, not only with the fans of St. Louis because they're the best fans and they really appreciate all of their players. But as you go to different teams, I got released by the Cardinals in 2018 and then got signed by the San Diego Padres, my hometown team. And I know for a fact one of the reasons they signed me was because I was a former Cardinal baseball player and they wanted to get to know more about the Cardinal way and what made St. Louis such a, good organization for so many years, 11 World Series championships and countless winning seasons. So they wanted to kind of pick my brain on what they did over in St. Louis and try to implement some of those processes with the Padres. And you can see now the San Diego Padres, they've really started to turn that franchise around, becoming more of a, not saying because of myself, but they made the internal decision to try to change their culture. So yeah, the Cardinals getting drafted by them, coming up with them, the veteran players that took care of me, kind of taught me how to be a professional. I owe them everything. It was really special.
Trust me, I know the Cardinal way, like early 2010s, great team to model your game after, great team to model because they had great community, great
Yep,
chemistry over there with guys who have been playing together for such a long time, like Matt Holliday, even when David Freese was out there before
yep,
he left to the Angels. But before I transition to the Padres question I had, I did want to, you did mention a lot of winning seasons with the Cardinals, and related to this next question, as being a part of those Cardinals teams in the 2010s, you were a part of some of the playoff teams. And what was the playoff atmosphere like, just compared to a regular season game from a player's perspective, such as yourself?
yeah. I can remember. So my first year in the big leagues was 2014 with the Cardinals, and I believe my first postseason was 2015 the following year. And I remember we played the Cubs in the divisional round, and I can remember people being like, teammates being like, "Hey, it's different. Wait till the series starts. It's not the regular season." And they were right. I mean, Bush Stadium in playoff baseball, I know we all have seen it on TV. I've been able to be there in person, but it is a different atmosphere, almost like an NFL atmosphere where people are standing throughout the game. They're usually waving some sort of towel, those rally towels, and it's something that you wanted that feeling again because there was so much adrenaline in those games, and you wanted to do well for your city. And then the other time I got to the postseason was with the Padres, but it happened to be in that COVID year in 2020, and we lost to the Dodgers in the divisional series. But just such a different atmosphere with no fans in the stadium, but still that level of intensity really ramps up in the postseason. A lot's on the line there, a lot of pressure. So just trying to kind of trust yourself and let your abilities play.
It's glad to hear from a player's perspective because we also spoke to guys like Danny Espinoza, who played for the Nationals for a little bit at the time, and he told me about the facing the Cardinals and how dreadful it was
Right.
playing the playoffs with them. And it's great to hear from a player's perspective. From a fan perspective, I got to show up to a 2013 Cardinals playoff game, and you think the fans are hype, super loud at a regular season game, but when it comes to playoff baseball, it's a different like level
You're
of
exactly right.
that.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
But for my next question, as I said, you grew up in California, correct?
Yep, San Diego. Yep.
And I'm assuming you're a Padres fan. growing up?
Yeah, yeah. Grew up Padre fan. Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman, Steve Finley. Those are my guys. Yeah.
Now, related to this next question, as you said, you grew up a Padres fan, and after leaving the Cardinals, you mentioned playing for the San Diego Padres. What was it like making your debut playing for your favorite childhood team? Because I know a lot of players and young ball players growing up, all they can really do is dream of playing for their childhood favorite baseball team. So, what was that like for you making that dream come true?
Yeah, unbelievable. I remember when I got the news that the Padres were going to sign me at following the 2018 season. So for the 2019 season, it was very surreal. Getting to live at my own house. I'm married. I was married. I'm married and had my first daughter there at the time, Olivia, and then we recently have had our second daughter. But being able to have them there kind of 24/7, not having to live in an apartment was super nice. And it's that feeling, that prideful feeling of playing for your city that kind of raised you. I took that really personally, and I wanted to make sure I got the most out of myself for the San Diego Padres because the city has done so much for me, for my family, and I'm a proud San Diegan, and I really do love this place. I love the city, and being able to compete with the Padres for those 2 years were great. The 2019 season, we are kind of like a 500 team, so didn't get any postseason. But we were a younger team when we kind of saw what was coming. That was when Fernando Tatis kind of broke into the big leagues. They had just signed Manny Machado. Pieces were coming into play, and then in the 2020 shortened season, had a really good team. Talk about chemistry like the Cardinals had. We had that there because of COVID. You couldn't really interact with other people. It was basically your baseball team is the only people you could kind of be around because of the virus. So it just ultimately made us a really close team because talent wise, we weren't nearly as talented as some of the Padre teams they have now, but we were a very cohesive group, and that led us to making it to the postseason and kind of running into a buzzsaw against the Dodgers there. But that was still a great experience for me.
It's glad to hear you had those great personal connections, especially with your family, especially coming back to San Diego after spending a good majority of time with the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm hoping you still have a place for St. Louis in your heart,
Oh yeah,
even though coming back to San Diego, and it's glad to hear that you had great memories over there, and especially with coming in with a rebuild atmosphere. Because I talked with Dominic Leone earlier this week, and he told me he was with a bunch of different rebuild and playoff winning teams. And he told me that the atmospheres are much different, but you have to have a lot of adaptability when it comes to that. And speaking of adaptability, I know you were an infield guy. You played
yeah,
multiple positions in the
yep.
infield. How was it adapting to each new position at each time you were first trying out that position in the major leagues?
Yeah, good question. I think coming up, I got drafted as a shortstop. So you could play shortstop, you could probably play anywhere on the diamond. And then early on in my professional career, that kind of gravitated me towards second base. Got to double A, and it was kind of like the everyday shortstop in double A. And then I think I got casted as, hey, if this guy's going to help our big league roster, he needs to be able to play multiple positions. We don't really see him as an everyday guy for us right now, but we think he could impact our team in a positive way. But he needs to be able to play short, second, third. And I remember the first time I played third base was in the big leagues against the Marlins, and I can remember it like yesterday. It was Stanton was up, so big right-handed hitter, and I'm playing third for the first time in my life. And I mean, I've taken ground balls over there, but never in the game. And I can remember backing up like almost to the outfield grass, and the third base umpire kind of like chuckled. And I'm like, man, I can't go far enough back, right? Because you got Stanton up, and I'm used to playing shortstop, which is further back, and third base, you're much closer to the plate. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience. But yeah, being versatile like that, playing multiple positions, I really think kind of catapulted my career into prolonging it for as long as it did. Like I said, I was never a guy that was gonna, wow you or did anything much better than anybody else, but I was very consistent and kind of knew my role within the team. And, I took pride in that. I took a lot of pride in kind of being that utility guy and pinch hitter at the time. But nowadays, it's crazy when you see the versatility in the game. How many people can go from shortstop to outfield? You look at Mookie Betts playing right field last year. Now he's going to play shortstop for the Dodgers. Same thing. Jackson Barrel was a shortstop. Go play center field in the major leagues. So the amount of athleticism that's coming through in the baseball community now is much greater than when I was even playing, and that was not that long ago, right? It came up in 2014, but you can just see these athletes that they can do multiple things, whereas 10 years ago, it was a skill for me to be able to play short, second, and third, but now more and more people can do it. So, yeah, having that versatility really helped me. Took a lot of pride in it, and was really fortunate for that.
Trust me, it's all about changing the game. Again, we've seen a lot of rule changes. We've seen a lot of
Yep.
versatility, as you did say, Mookie Betts, and you've also seen guys like I believe Andrew Benintendi played short for a little bit as well when he
Right.
was with the Red Sox, and he did that
Mhm.
too. And when it comes to utility and pinch hitter, we 100% need those guys because
Yep.
again, you won us so many games that year, and I still wish you were on that team. You don't understand
Yeah.
how much.
That's great.
You really don't
Yeah,
understand.
I think with the pinch hitting with the DH coming to the national, that was my last
Mhm.
year, right? Was 2020 they incorporated the DH with the COVID year, and it really impacted my playing time because there was really not, in the National League when there wasn't a DH, you probably had 2 to 3 pinch hitters a game. That was almost guaranteed, unless you had a guy like Adam Wainwright going 9 innings where you didn't need a pinch hitter, which did happen a lot. But really, when that DH came to the National League, that really kind of hurt guys like myself that kind of made a career out of being that pinch hitter, that double switch guy, the steady defender. So yeah, that's the game has changed in that sense, but I think it's for the better. Better athletes are playing. The game is better, overall, even with some of the rule changes.
So going back to that infield question we were discussing earlier, so would you say that shortstop is the toughest position to play in the infield?
That would be my opinion on it, and I think probably I think people might agree with that or disagree. For me, shortstop was the hardest position because I felt like you had to be perfect with everything. There was
Mhm.
really not a lot of room for error, especially for somebody like me who didn't have the best arm in the world. A lot of these shortstops now have great arms, like Tatis when he's playing infield, he could throw it 95 across a diamond. That Ellie De La Cruz guy can throw it 100 across a diamond. I was Mason Wynn, right? Great arm.
Ooh.
I never had that, so I had to be very perfect and very technical with all of my movements and making sure I was taking correct angles to the ball. Whereas second base, it was, man, the ball could hit you off the chest, you could pick it up off the ground, and you'd still have time to get the guy out. And then third base, it was more reactionary. There was way less ground that you needed to cover, but the ball got on you quicker, so that was the only change with that. But I think shortstop it's the most demanding position on the infield. I think catching is probably the hardest position to do day in and day out, but I think shortstop's the most demanding position on the field.
So as a guy who played shortstop and as a utility player, I'm assuming you had a lot of players that you tried to model your game after through college and major leagues. Can you name some of those players you tried to model your game after?
Yeah, two guys growing up, I really liked like Derek Jeter, right? He was
Mm,
kind of like who I liked Derek Jeter, but then as I got older and my career started progressing, I started gravitating towards watching guys like Skip Schumacher,
mm,
Daniel
mm.
Descalso, because I kind of felt like that those were the guys that maybe I could be for the Cardinals. And both of those guys really impacted my career in a positive way by helping me learn that position, learning how to play multiple positions, staying ready, even if when you haven't played for 3 or 4 games in a row, being ready for that pinch hit at bat. Both of those guys embraced that role, but they also had some everyday spots in some years as well. So they were great mentors for me. So those were two guys that I really tried to model my game after because I really looked up to them as not only baseball players, but as human beings as well.
I loved watching a bunch of Cardinal shortstops, such as yourself, Daniel
Hmm.
Descalso, Rafael Furcal, Pete
Oh
Cosmo,
yeah. Yep.
guys like them, and a big fan of Mason Wynn. I'm excited to see what he does this season, and on
Yep.
top of last season as well. So I guess kind of related to my next question, bringing in Mason Wynn, and you talked about previous shortstops on the state of the current Cardinals after your former teammates such as Wainwright. Pujols and Molina, like legendary Cardinals, all leave, and as recently Carpenter and Lynn are no longer on the team.
Right.
The current Cardinals, what do you think, as a retired player, what do you think needs to be changed around after seeing the past 2 seasons within that Cardinals organization?
I was talking to somebody about it, and I think for so long the Cardinals they had those pillars of
Mm,
players that were had been around the Cardinals. I mean, you're never gonna there probably will no. I'm for sure there'll never be another Yadier Molina like that.
mhm.
He's a generational type player. It's never gonna happen again. You can never replicate a guy like that. I don't even know if there'll be another Adam Wainwright. And for what those two guys did for our clubhouse when I was there. Not only were they one of our two of our best players on the team, which is nice, but they also they kept the clubhouse together. They kept the culture going. You need players like that in the clubhouse. I don't follow the team as closely now. I know they're a younger team for sure. A guy I really like that I know they're trying to get rid of it is it like a Nolan Arenado, and I don't know all the nuances behind that, but as terms of a baseball player. That's a guy I'd want on my team. But I think the Cardinals are really missing that, and maybe there was not that era to be able to pass the torch from a Yachty and a Ueno to the next kind of core group of leaders. I think that core group is there, but they're just so young still. I mean, the
Mhm.
Mason Wins, the Walker kid, the outfielder, the Donovan. I can't think of his last name. He's kind of the infielder as well.
The Brendan
Um,
Donovan.
Brendan Donovan, right? So they have some guys that is kind of maybe in that next core group, but they're just all so young and things like that. So I do think that's maybe what the Cardinals are missing is that those kind of pillars, those safety blankets that they had for so many years with the Waynos, with the Yadier Molinas, the John Jays. You need those guys. You got to have those guys, and those guys took being a Cardinal really seriously. It was very prideful for them and everything like that. So that would be my take on it. But I would never bet against the Cardinals. That's for sure. I mean, they're still doing things the right way. And I know they haven't had the last 2 or 3 seasons haven't been what they wanted it to be. But I'd probably bet on them again this year, making a good push to try to get into the postseason.
I'm hoping for at least a wild card spot, and whatever those 2025 and future pillars are, I hope they
Yeah,
find it. I really, really, really hope they find it out soon. And I know you
and
again.
they may already have it. As I said, I'm so far removed, and I don't really know if I know a person on the team anymore because it's just been so
Oh,
long and
I
there's so
know.
much turnover. But hopefully they do have those leaders, and maybe they already do. Maybe those leaders are emerging. But I think that's what made our team successful was we had those guys to lean on.
And I know again those old Cardinals teams had guys like Wainwright, Molina, and
Yep.
guys who really built the culture together, community, and also brought the community together in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I know that I saw like a post, I believe yesterday or the day before, that Cardinals like fans, like audiences, were like ranked the bottom three in the whole MLB all last season and the season prior. So hopefully, that Cardinals culture, that St. Louis culture can hopefully be brought back together soon because I miss going to Cardinals games and just
Totally.
an electric atmosphere. But I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
I do, you did bring up great memories with those guys. And I guess I want to ask for my next question before we wrap up this interview soon. Some of your greatest memories from your baseball career that stick to you to this day, rather it be from the Cardinals, the Padres, any other team you played for, or even the minor leagues.
Yeah, so many fun memories. A lot of mine, I was never an all-star, right? Never won a World Series. So a lot of my fondest memories are from some winning teams that we had and being a part of that team. You don't get that when the game's done. The personal accolades are great. The home runs that you hit are great. The great defensive plays are great. But I think those season-long battles that you had with these group of guys that ended up, cultivating into a postseason appearance, those are the memories I would reflect on. So with the Cardinals, that 2015 season, the 2020 season with the Padres, and then all the way down to the minor leagues. I was on 3 championship teams in the minor leagues, and being with
Mhm.
those guys, and even more of a grind in the minor leagues, right? Because you're not staying at nice hotels, the travel's tough, you're not getting paid anything, but kind of just banding together with those guys and going through it. Those were a lot of fun times. That just nothing specifically. Obviously, winning a couple of those was great, but just those individual seasons, something that I'll always cherish, and just the teammates and friendships that I've made. We got like a fantasy football league that's still going on that has some ex teammates in it, and still some trash talking going on and things like that. but yeah, very fortunate to be able to have said that I played in the major leagues and to meet the people that I did meet and get to play for as long as I was able to play for.
And again, it's glad you built those connections, personal connections, and still in touch with those guys today. And trust me, I understand. I've been here in college. I outside of this is our personal podcast we do,
Yep.
not related to this. We're at a sports station here at our college, and we have
Nice.
we've had a fantasy football league running for like the past 4 seasons. And trust me,
Yeah.
that gets hectic. But I did
It
want
gets
to,
heated.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And the punishment is tomorrow for one of my friends, and
There you go.
I won. I'm not trying to gloat, but I
Yeah.
won this last season,
Not a
so
boy.
he's in for a treat. He's in for trust me, he's in for a treat. Now
That's great, man.
I did want to ask a fun question, and then one more question after that,
Hmm.
very quick. So I've asked this to a couple of previous players, and the one to get it the fastest was Justin Nicolino, a former Miami Marlin. He got it within 32 seconds.
Oh man,
So I'm pulling. Let me pull up a quick stopwatch, very quick. So
pressure.
all right. So your MLB debut was against the Milwaukee Brewers on April 28th, 2014. Now I know you did not start,
Right.
but I from that MLB debut, can you name the starting lineup from your MLB debut?
Oh, so from this, okay, so I would say it's gonna be 14. Oh my God. All right. Jeez, this is tough. Catcher Yachty,
Hmm.
first base Matt Adams,
Uh-huh.
okay, second base Colton Wong,
Yes.
shortstop Johnny Peralta,
Shortstop is Johnny Pro. Second base is not Colton Wong. He pitch hit
Da
for second base.
Daniel Descalso, second base. Oh no,
Descalso
Ellis,
is
AJ
Mark
Ellis.
Ellis.
Oh, Mark Ellis.
Yes.
Third base Carpenter,
Yes.
okay, left field Holiday,
Yep.
center field John Jay,
Yes.
John Jay.
Yes, it is.
And then right field would be uh wasn't Jason was it Jason Hay not Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward?
It was
No?
not Jason Hayward.
All right. Not Alan Craig. Hey, give me a I got nothing. Was he a right-handed player, right-handed batter or left-handed batter? I don't know. Man, Steven Piscotty. No, not Piscotty. It was after me. Oh, Grichuk. Did Grichuk starting right? Randall Grichuk?
Grichuk did not start in right.
Oh my gosh. Not Peter Borges. Dude, I got nothing. I don't got anything. Who is it?
Right field was Alan Craig. So when you skipped
Oh, it
over
was Alan Craig.
it,
Okay, all right.
it was Alan Craig. You did very well. You're the
All right.
second fastest with I'm gonna count that as a minute 22 because
I'll take that.
as a minute 22. Justin Nicolino, he crossed his arms and he said, I could cheat. It's right behind me, but I had this memorized. And I'm like, okay. He was
That's
just
probably
not
different
good.
for a starting pitcher. You know,
Yeah.
starting pitcher, he probably remembered every bit of that because he was in that game. You know, that was just from the bench. That was going back. That was way back too. That's 2014. So that
Yeah.
was fun though. That was a fun game. Those guys are great. Those guys are great.
Yeah, I love asking those questions because
Yeah.
it gets them to think. I asked former pitcher Dan Straley that question. I've asked former pitcher Chichi Gonzalez as well, and
Hmm.
he was struggling with that as well. But
It's
but
hard.
yeah, it's the and trust me, it was I know it was 10 years ago, and I
Yeah.
was fourth grade, and I'm a ju-
Wow. That's crazy, huh?
I'm a junior in college now, so it's been a
Wow.
minute. It's
That
been a
has been
minute.
amazing.
It's
That's
been a
funny.
minute.
That was a fun game. I like that.
Yeah, it's been 9 years since I've been to Busch Stadium, so it's
Ah, you
been a
gotta get
minute.
back, man. You gotta get back out
I
there.
I mean, I wish I would have gone back before 2020, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not. But
Right.
I'm like to see these new teams. But
There you go.
for my final question, Mr. Garcia, before we wrap up this interview, if you could go back and give advice to your younger self before making it to the major leagues, what would you say?
Yeah, great question. And I think this is something that I'll talk to kids. I like to talk to high school kids around, you know, San Diego or anybody else. The thing that I would always preach to young baseball players is that don't let not being the best player on your team right now discourage you. You have to really want to be a major leaguer. It is not an easy path. And especially if you're not gifted, just kind of God-given talents with size, speed, strength, whatever, which I didn't have those things, but I did love the game of baseball.
Hmm.
And I can tell you on my high school team, I was never the best player. On my college team, I was never the best player. But if you want it bad enough, just keep pushing forward. Don't let anybody say you can't do it. And that's what my dad kind of instilled in me at a young age. And I think he kind of put it like this, whereas if you want to be a major leaguer, do everything in your power to do that. And if you can't do it, if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You'll be able to sleep at night because you know you did everything you could to make that dream happen. And honestly, that really stuck with me because we've all met the guys or the people that go, man, I could have made it, but this happened, but I did this, but this happened. No, it needs to be your focus. And at the end of the day, if you don't make it, because it is very hard to make it, you should be proud of what you were able to try to accomplish. And it'll set you up for life. Baseball's a game of failure, and just being able to progress through those seasons will set you up for life after baseball. So that's what I would tell my young self is, or younger kids out there, is just don't get discouraged. If you want it bad enough, keep working. You never know when you'll peak as a baseball player. So you might be undersized now, but just keep working, keep grinding, and enjoy the journey.
And it's not always about the destination. It's always about the journey.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's what Dominic Leone told me last interview when I spoke with him. But that
Yep.
sounds like amazing advice, and I feel like it can be applied not to just baseball, not to just
I,
sports, but to any career or job opportunity that you have in the future that, just take the opportunity while you can and enjoy it while it
totally.
lasts.
Yeah, yeah. Well said.
But Mr. Garcia, is there anything you'd like to shout out for me to plug in? Because I know Dominic Leone did a little shameless plug with his sports performance. So is there anything you'd
He
like to plug in for me
No,
to
man,
put in?
he's got a good thing going there too. I seen some of those his Instagram stuff. They got a professional performance over there that they're gonna help out with a lot of baseball players. I got nothing, man. I just want to say thank you for reaching out, for putting this together. I always enjoy talking baseball. So it was a pleasure meeting you, Jackson. And yeah, anything else I can ever do for you guys, you let me know.
Sounds great. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview. And it was a joy talking to you. Hopefully, we can reconnect in the future and hopefully talk Cardinals baseball because I know mostly on this podcast we talk about Braves baseball. We're localized in Georgia, so I understand it.
I get
And
it.
75% of us are Braves fans. I'm the only 25%. So it makes sense.
That's
I understand. I
mixing
understand.
some Cardinals. Yeah, sounds good, man, for sure.
Hey, go Cardinals. But thank you, Mr. Garcia, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Jackson. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.